We both did that.
Hello, Facebook.
Hi, guys.
Hey, you're here for the tall and the short of it with
Betsy.
and Jenny. It is a lovely, wet, rainy, nasty day today, isn't it? At least it's warm.
I don't know. I haven't been outside.
It's like 60 degrees.
I guess I have.
raining.
I took the kids out to the bus, but we also had a delay today,
Yes, we did. There was major fog.
which I thought was nice until the kids
Yeah.
don't like delays.
Yeah, but I did wake up with a really bad stuffy nose. So I know you've had one for a while.
I think I gave it to her.
I don't know. We haven't hung out a lot this
No, we
week.
haven't. This is my second one since we've been back from Christmas break.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
That
So much
sucks.
fun.
But yeah, so if I sound all crazy stuffy, because I am. I'm on some Dayquil right now. So, we are starting our month of February, All Things Preschool.
Yay.
I'm very excited about this. We love preschool, and it's just awesome.
That's funny because right now neither of us are doing anything with preschool.
I know.
Where
we have.
Yes, she used to be the preschool coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be, then I was for many years, and sadly gave that up to move into this position. So,
But I still will find myself from time to time wandering into preschool when I need a little cheering up.
I'm right next door, so
Yeah.
I used to hide in there.
Yeah, me too.
If you couldn't find me, go look in preschool. But I'm right next door now, so.
Nothing more fun for me.
Nope.
So, All Things Preschool this month. We're starting out with a little overview, as we typically do for our viewers. And we hope that you'll join into the conversation with us. If you're watching us on replay, don't forget to put in a little hashtag replay. And definitely join in the conversation. So, we need to go all the way back to 1986 when, well, shut
Sorry.
up. Shut up. Yes, I'm older. Actually, let's go back to the year I was born.
Okay.
In 1973, that was when the first special education law was passed, that kids had a right to a free, appropriate public education. But it wasn't until 1986 that ages 0 to 5 were added to that law. So, IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, when it was reauthorized in 1986, that's when they included preschoolers in that. So, any child ages 0 to 5 that has a disability is also entitled to a free, appropriate public education. It's a little different for ages 0 to 3 than it is for ages 3 to 5. So, we're going to kind of talk about that today.
Yes.
Let's start with the big major thing that was in that law, was called child find. Now, I did make a post earlier this week about child find and what that is. And basically, it's the obligation of your public school to find children with disabilities and make sure they get a free, appropriate public education. And a lot of people can help us to do that. The big one is doctors.
Yes.
Yeah, doctors tend to say, hey, there might be something going on here, and they can make referrals for an evaluation. Family members can say, hey, I think this one, there's something going on here, maybe with some speech or some language, or maybe he's not developing exactly where he should.
The school system, because sometimes we meet siblings at
Right.
conferences.
Sometimes we
and
meet
we'll talk to the
siblings.
parents about that and do a referral.
And the parent may not know that those services are available. Another place, churches, Sunday school teachers, all the any kind of nursery school or daycares. Daycares help us find kids.
Yeah.
So basically what we as the public school have to do is we have to let them know what is offered, and we have to let them know how to access those services. And then all those people in the community can make referrals to us to help us find those kids. So places like Head Start, they make referrals to us sometimes. So that's how we find the kids that might need those services. And a parent is welcome to call a public school anytime to ask about how to obtain services for their child as well. So it's a little different, though, for ages 0 to 3 than 3 to 5. So Betsy's going to talk about ages 0 to 3.
So ages 0 to 3 are given services through First Steps. And what First Steps does is they provide different types of therapies, whether it be speech, which, okay, obviously as a child who's 6 months old isn't like, 3, 4, 5 months, they're not chatting a whole lot, so we're not talking about like, let's work on those S's.
No.
But a lot of times
they appropriate.
Yes, but they might have trouble, like they have some feeding issues, different things like that, and that can be done through as speech services or occupational therapy. Both of those, but we're talking about occupational therapy, physical therapy, and then just kind of like they have like an overall developmental therapy, I think. And those are done in the home. So someone, or if they go to like a daycare or something, they can go and provide those services also in that daycare. What basically is, it's not like a school type setting where they're always there. No, they are traveling. Those people travel and go to the child wherever they would be. And they provide those services weekly. And then in a sense, it's very, the way they work it out, like let's meet, let's do this. It is, they do kind of, they do meet again in the home. They have a person that kind of oversees that student. Like in a school system, we have what's called teacher of record. I'll be honest, I don't know what it's called for First Steps, but
they're just case managers.
And but they would go and meet in the home and make sure that the parent's happy with services, all of that kind of thing. There's paperwork involved, of course. And so, and they just keep checking in. Are we making those goals? Are we meeting these goals? Do we need to make new goals? That kind of thing. And First Steps is also one of those. It's not like, oh, you live in this county, I'm going to move to this next. No, it follows you. You can find you find the First Steps wherever you're going to go.
Right.
So, but First Steps does their own evaluations. They have their own evaluation criteria. So, qualifying for First Steps does not automatically qualify you for once you get into school, that kind of thing. So just know that we'll kind of talk about that as we get into the school type situation. But just because a child qualifies for First Steps doesn't mean they're automatically going to have those services continuing. Doesn't mean they won't, but it's not automatic.
It isn't automatic.
Yeah. So, and then what happens when it becomes time, like as they're nearing that third birthday, then the first step, if they're going through First Steps, that First Steps case manager contacts the school and lets us know, hey, I have this kiddo coming up that they're going to be 3 on this date, and like we kind of talked about, we were trying to remember how far out it usually was. We were
usually they try to let us know when the child's 2. Like when they turn 2, that this child's coming down the pike, because like a heads up. And then usually by the time they're 2.5, we have what's called transition conference.
Right. And what that means is someone from the school meets with the First Steps case manager and the family, whoever wants to be involved. Sometimes sometimes the therapists have been there, sometimes not. It kind of depends on the severity of service, like the level of services the child is receiving.
Sure.
But then what the school does is come and shares, this is what we provide.
Right.
Here are the services that we can provide your child once they turn 3 if they qualify.
Right. And it is important to understand, too, that all of these services are optional on the parent's part. So if the parent does not want First Steps, they don't have to take it. If the parent does not want services from ages 3 to 5, they also don't have to take it. However, that's not always the best decision, especially if your child is going to attend kindergarten at that school. I highly recommend, even if you don't want to send your child to the preschool, I highly recommend that you at least get an evaluation if you know there's a disability prior to when they go to kindergarten. That way they're prepared on day 1 for when your child enters kindergarten, because that can be a kind of a hot mess if we don't know they're coming. Again, we can put out all the child find materials that, out to everybody, but if no one ever makes that referral and we don't know that child exists, and they show up on day 1 of kindergarten with no IEP, with no supports already in place to tell us what this child needs, then we're having to figure all that out while they're being mainstreamed in a general ed classroom, and they may not be getting what they need from day one. So like I said, even if you as a parent are like, I do not want my child in that preschool, I just want to do my own thing with them and take them to outside therapies and all, that's fine. Like, that's totally legal for you to do that. But the best thing I can recommend for you to do is if they are attending public school for kindergarten, please, 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 I beg of you, get them evaluated when they're 4 so that when they go to kindergarten that the school knows what's coming.
Yes.
It's just super important.
Yes. Sorry, I've been distracted. I said, let's sit this way, and there's someone's been out by my door, and I'm distracted. Believe it or not, I'm distracted. Something else is, if you decide in that, like I said, in that meeting with the school and your first steps, if you decide that you want that evaluation, then that paperwork, for us, it doesn't happen right then because we have, anyways, even still, you can have the evaluation. Then we sat down and just agreeing to the evaluation does not mean you agree to services. So then you sit down in what we call a case conference, and it goes onto the school's kind of turf, I guess, in a sense. We're no longer meeting in the home. We're now meeting at the school. And it would be with, like, the people that would be involved in that child's services, be the speech therapist, maybe the OT, occupational therapist, physical therapist, OT, PT, maybe the preschool teacher, maybe like I said, we were both preschool coordinators.
Or if there's like a blind low vision issue or a hard of hearing issue, we can invite those people. So
all of those, or if there's medical stuff, the nurse can then be a part of that. So all of us would meet and we would talk about, okay, let's pretend your child is coming to our school. And this is the plan we would give them. This is what we would do for your child. And then we've made that decision, or not made that decision, then we've made that plan, and then it is still the parent's decision. They do not, and that's when she was talking about, they don't have to agree to it, but it's...
At least you know your options.
We do write out the plan, and then the parent, if the parent's like, yes, they sign it, or they can reject it, and they sign something for that too.
And the parent has an opportunity to have input on that plan too, like saying, here's some things I'd really like them to work on that would help me at home.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, we write that plan together. It's not something we write and say, here's what you get, take it or leave it.
Right.
We do it together.
Well, and that's when I kind of mentioned too, though, just because the things that they often work on, or the things they will work on in first steps, the different therapists, what they'll kind of look at a lot. I mean, the child is in the home. They're working on things to help them in the home. When you move into a school setting, you start looking at educational therapy. So we're looking at things to help the child in the school setting. So granted, we are still working on like self-help skills because it's great for kids to know how to wash their hands because
we work on toileting.
Obviously, we're both sick. Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Yes, toileting, even feeding. We do. Even still in my classroom, we're working on introducing to new foods, and we're still making progress. But it's also one of those things where, like OT and PT, we're going to work on the playground. We're going to work on using pencils. So there are some things that maybe wouldn't be addressed in the school. Like, we're not going to work on making your bed.
Right.
We will work on picking up toys.
Yeah, work on that for sure.
So that is something to note that...
Yeah, once you turn 3 years old, all of the things in your plan have to be educationally relevant. Not just a medical need.
Obviously, we're keeping the child the child will be safe and all of that good stuff. We're looking
address
at that.
medical issues.
Yes, but
the focus of the plan changes to that one of providing access to education.
Yes, yeah. So, and like I said, that also can be where the differences in the evaluation requirements do change.
Right.
And like I said, just because they qualified for first steps doesn't mean they qualify for special education services through the school.
Right. So, and we'll go in more depth into how to qualify as we go through the month. We have an episode next week on communication and one then after that on developmental delays. So we'll go a lot more in depth during those 2 weeks on what that looks like. But then once a child is evaluated, once a referral is made to the public school then for an evaluation for our preschool. So let's clarify what that means, okay? So there's Head Start that's out there. That's a federal preschool anybody can attend as long as a lot of at-risk students and low income. There's something out there called On My Way Pre-K. If you're in Indiana, and you may have heard of this, that some preschools out in your community can apply to the state to get certified as an On My Way Pre-K, which means that they can get grant money. They've done all the things they need to do on a checklist to get grant money from the state to provide a better preschool education to those students. And those students can receive sometimes up to like $6,500 a student. That preschool can get that money to help make that preschool even better. So that's another type of preschool. But again, that's a general education preschool. Any student can go to that. You don't have to qualify for that. That's different. And On My Way Pre-K, I think it is only piloted in certain places. And there's like a limit right now. Like there you have such a backlog of preschools that want to do it. Like not all the preschools can do it at once. So like I said, I think we have one in our town that is On My Way Pre-K certified, but that's it. And then there's things like Title I preschool, meaning that a public school may have a preschool classroom that's funded through their Title I grant. That again is for usually at-risk or students that need a jump start before kindergarten. They're usually 4 years old. But that's a preschool that anyone's welcome to apply to, and as long as they qualify being at risk, and they can usually attend that preschool. None of these are special ed preschools, okay? These are all preschools anyone is welcome to try to attend, right? And then you just have your general like preschools out there at churches, and maybe in a private school or something like that, they might have their own preschool. So there's all these different preschools out there. Now, special education preschool services are a little different, and every district handles them a little different, okay? And that's important to know. So you might want to talk to your people at your district to see what type of services that they offer. Some schools only put their students with special needs out into community preschools, and then they serve them out in community preschools. Some have a preschool classroom in their elementary school where they serve them. I know some districts that have like an early childhood building where they have kindergarten and preschool. They'll put their developmental preschool for special needs students in that building. Some do walk-in services for things like speech. If maybe the kid only qualifies for a speech service, they have the parent bring them in once a week and do speech services as on a walk-in basis, more like a therapy. So every school is different though. So just knowing that the services for ages 3 to 5 that are provided by the public school can look different from district to district. Okay?
And it doesn't mean if a district you came from provided services and it looked this way, and then if you move, it doesn't mean that your new district is doing it wrong. It's just different.
They just may provide the services in a different way. They still have to provide the same therapies and the same service minutes, but they can do it in a different setting sometimes. And the state actually encourages us to do it as inclusive as possible, but sometimes in rural communities where there's not many options, that's not always a choice. So, and also sometimes you have a student that's very medically fragile or needs a lot of care or has some significant behaviors, and that really would be too much of a disruption. So you want to make sure that that student is still making progress and not taking away from the progress of the other students as well. So there's a lot of discussion that goes into that of what would be an appropriate placement for that student.
And again, like Jenny said earlier, when we sit down as a case conference, it is a team discussion. It's not just us coming in going, well, this is what we're going to do. It's a matter of, because at this point, we have spent very little time, if any, by say we, like the people doing the evaluations have spent some time with the student.
Right.
But we haven't spent time with this student for us to know them. So that parent is in a I mean, parents are
Huge
always
part.
an important part of a case conference, but at this point, we need them to teach us about their
Sure.
child. So it is a group discussion.
And parents can bring anyone who knows anything about the child with them to that meeting if they feel more supported that way. If the child has a Sunday school teacher they've worked with, or a community daycare teacher that they want to invite to the meeting, they're absolutely welcome to do that.
And we've had all of that
Yeah.
in meetings, and like I said, it just gives us a whole different it gives more information, because I mean,
Right.
we all know, like, well, I say this, I don't have children, but I can tell you my nephews are this way. Kids act different depending on who they're with, and it's not necessarily like always act better with this person. They just act different, and so that helps us. If they're in a daycare or things like, or go to a babysitter or whatever, they let us know. Oh, they're really good with this, like a routine, or they're really things like that are so important. Because homes don't typically have as set of a routine,
Right.
as those types of settings.
Sure. And you might be listening to this and you're thinking, well, what if I don't know if my kid would qualify for these services? But if they would, I would really want them to have that extra help before they went to kindergarten. The thing is that any parent can make a referral. If you feel your child is behind, maybe you got on Google and you looked at a checklist for what typical 3-year-olds should do, and you're like, oh, maybe we got some red flags here. It's totally okay to call your local public school and be like, I'd like to refer my child for an evaluation for preschool, for special education. And that's totally okay. And a lot of people out there too might be thinking, well, I don't want them in special ed, that like they'll be labeled, and then that's how you want to think of this is, especially if they're not talking, or if maybe they're having some significant behaviors, and that might be due to their lack of it being ability to communicate. These are what also we call early interventions that can help them. We've had a lot of kids who have gone through our developmental preschool who have then not had an IEP going forward into kindergarten, because we got to that early enough that we helped correct it. So think of it as
Early
a preventative measure. Like I said, just because you qualify for speech and language as a preschooler doesn't mean that's going to follow you all through your school. Now, some kids it will, because they need more time to work on it. Right. But that's not true for every child. We've had so many kids that have come to developmental preschool and their language explodes because they're in a language-rich environment around other kids.
They seem to pick up so much more of their language from their peers.
Yes.
Than, they still work with our speech therapist, but a lot of times the speech therapist even likes to pull multiples, a couple of kids, 2 or 3 together, because they just... and they do that in as they get older too, just because they learn so much from their peers.
And the beauty of our developmental pre-K is almost all the therapies are play-based. So they're doing a lot of work on their speech, language, and other skills through play, which is awesome for them and helps build those muscles that might be behind, or helps with maybe the talking that it hasn't been coming until now. So I would not be afraid of that.
Well, and like we said, get the evaluation, listen to what your school has to say, and then decide. Once you have all of the information, don't make a prejudgment before, setting down and listening to, because we've I don't want to say dealt with, that sounds bad. We've had a lot of parents that came in and you can tell they are so nervous. Right. And our meetings often take place in our preschool classroom. It's really funny to see all these adults. We all sit in the little chairs. Yeah. But they just seem so much, once they're there, and it doesn't seem maybe so scary once you're talking to the actual people and not thinking of it as the labels and all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
We may have talked about this, and I think we're both a little medicated. But something else is, Jenny said that the first steps likes to let us know maybe by 2.5. We and did you say something about getting everything done by 3? Yeah, they have to be, by law, we're required, if they are in first step services, that we're not allowed to have a gap
between the First Step services that end at their 3rd birthday and the public school services that start at their 3rd birthday.
Right.
So as long as we are given their information at least 30 to 60 days ahead of time, the public school is required to get that evaluation done and have a conference and get them into those services by the 3rd birthday.
But that being said, sometimes we can get that information and we can sign the paper and it can seem like you're waiting a long time.
You're taking forever.
However, it is one of those things that we have a list.
We have a giant waiting list. I'm not even joking, y'all.
And by the way, I mean, we still have dates we have to...
right, and every kid who turns in a permission, there's a line.
There's a line.
You know?
So we have these other kids that their date is coming up prior to, you know, maybe...
Well, and the other thing, too, is we don't want to test a child right after we, you know, meet when they just turned 2, because there's a lot of growth that can happen between 2 and 2.5.
Right.
We actually want to test them as close to the 3rd birthday as possible so that we have the most current results, because kids grow like wildfire at that age. And just, I mean, you guys know as parents that 1 month they're doing something, 1 month they're not doing something, next month they are.
Yeah.
So our evaluation would be out of date if we test them too quickly.
Well, and we've even found, because sometimes if their birthday falls in the summer, say it's a June, July birthday, we have to test prior to school getting out. Well, even just June and July, because we start back at the beginning of August, and they start a lot of
like sometimes their goals are not appropriate anymore.
No, you have to meet again, and because you're like, oh my gosh, what did they? And they haven't been getting therapy all summer, but it's just the kids are playing, and that's how they learn. And so yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes you'll be like, this is not the kid we met on at all.
Right. And depending on the student, they might be eligible for summer services if they have something that's pretty severe that needs to continually be worked on.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen super often. Hey, Patty. But sometimes it does. Speaking of preschool people, hello, Patty Willie. She is one of our most excellent paraprofessionals in our preschool. So we want to give her a shout out. So now, what does that evaluation process look like? This is kind of our last point for today because we're going to go on too long. But so if I ask the school to evaluate my child who is getting ready to turn 3, what does that look like? Well, first, you're probably going to end up talking to somebody who's going to ask you a whole bunch of personal information about your kid.
Yes. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh.
They're going to ask you
nosy.
The full name, including middle names. They're going to want, what is their ethnicity. They're going to want birth date. They're going to want your name, the parents' names, address, all the personal info. And be like, good Lord, what are they going to do? Steal my identity? But what we are doing with all of that is each student who enrolls in a public school has to have what's called an STN, or a state testing number, student test number, okay? And so we have to get that, and of course, everything boils down to testing, and doesn't it? So that number follows that child from the day they enroll in public school all the way through their graduation, so that we can keep track of how that student does from year to year. So the first thing we have to do is get them an STN. Then we can put them into our system and be able to print some paperwork out for the parents to sign, giving us permission to do the evaluation. So just because you call and ask for one doesn't mean we just start doing it. We have to get your written permission to do the evaluation.
And that's why sometimes I think, like when I said if I was going to meet with First Steps, that's why I don't go with the paperwork, because I have to get the parents have to say, yes, I want an evaluation, and then I have to go back to the school and do that, and sometimes
it takes together, get the
you have to wait till it rolls.
And it takes like
over.
48 hours to get the kid in the system. Yeah. So once we have that paperwork, and the parent has signed, then that starts that timeline. And like I said, if they were in First Steps, we have until their 3rd birthday to get it done. If they were not in First Steps and someone just made a referral for a kid that's not in First Steps at all, then it's a 50-day timeline, and that's a 50 school day timeline, okay, for us to get that done. Hey, Jake.
Hey, Jake.
So then what will happen is you'll probably wait around a little bit because there's other kids in line in front of your kid, most likely. And then at some point, usually a speech therapist, a psychologist, or a special ed teacher, one of the three is going to call you, or maybe even the special ed secretary would call you to set up a time for you to bring your child to the school for an evaluation. And again, all of our evaluations are usually play-based as well. They would take them into the classroom, give them toys to play with, see, have them start talking, see how much talking they can do. The speech therapist would look at their language skills and their speech skills and how they communicate, if they use gestures. Do they, for kids that are very low, are they at least following you with their eyes?
Right.
Are they, those kinds of things. They write down all of that information. Your occupational and physical therapy, if we do that from the get-go, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. If we're doing that, they would play with your child, have them maybe try to catch a ball, try to hold things in their grasp, pick up this thing and put it in the jar, those kinds of things, just see how they're using all their fine motor skills, and then maybe jumping or walking and, things like that to see how they move gross motor wise. They may do a developmental assessment with them to just check things like, do they know they're a boy or a girl? Do they know their name? Do they, just things like that.
And they're also going to have you fill out paperwork in that you're giving us their history, they're asking questions like when, if they're setting up, when did they set up? When did they say their first word?
Have they had a lot of ear infections? Have they been sick a lot? Do they have any medical diagnoses or take any medications?
What was birth like? Were they premature? That kind of thing.
Maybe you adopted this child and we need to ask questions like, were they exposed to drugs or alcohol when they were born? We're going to ask those questions to all of those families just to make sure we have a complete picture of what's going on with this child as we're looking at making an educational diagnosis. So then after they get all of that done, then the people that tested your child have to get together and they have to talk about it and they have to write a report that they can share with the committee. And then that's when we call again and we schedule a meeting for all of us to get together, called that case conference. And we talk about whether or not that child, we go through all the testing and we talk about whether the child qualifies for services or not. Yep. So that's pretty much the process. Like I said, it can take that whole 50 days if you're not in First Steps, just because we've got those other kids that are in First Steps that get precedent. So like I said, if your kid is in First Steps, that's a good thing. That usually gives you a jump start into that testing process. So if you have any other questions about just preschool as an overview, special ed preschool as an overview, please post those in the comments. We'll try to get back to that and get those answered. But that's all we have for you for this week. Next week is a very special episode on communication, both speech and language, and I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers, I haven't asked her yet, that one of our speech therapists might join us for that conversation, because she would have the most relevant information. We have learned a lot sitting in on a lot of speech conferences, have we not?
Yes.
However, it's always best to hear it from the expert.
True.
So that maybe we can do it more of an interview style.
That would be good.
That would be super
because
fun.
some of my kids' speech actually takes place in my classroom, but still, it's still not quite.
But our SLPs are extremely valuable and special people. So shout out to Kristen and Allison if you're out there watching the replay. And all you other SLPs out there that are super valuable to us, please don't leave. If y'all did not know, there is a shortage. So that is it today for the Tall and the Short of It, Education Conversations. And we will see you next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
You got the right hand this time.